Yo, what is up? You have found We Like the Blazers. I am Brandon Mullen. This is Parker Mullen, and through the screen, it is the one and the only Connor Bergen. Connor, what's up, man?
Brandon, good to be back for another week. I think that Parker is kind of like our Andy Richter, you know, like a little like sidekick on the talk show.
Yes, and just a peek behind the curtain. It's been a morning, and as it turns out, Connor, babies, they do eat and sleep. They also inexplicably just like they sometimes don't settle, and so I'm telling you, she is a great child, and she's also extremely unsettled, which is why we're doing one of these. But so thanks for being patient. But yeah, what are we talking about today?
What I just want to know, does this mean you're on like zero sleep right now? Is this one of those parent stories?
No, actually, no. The sleep is fine. It's more of like has been a morning of like, oh, like you're hungry. There's a diaper. You want to feed. You're asleep for 1 second, but now you're fussy and you wrap you up and you're still fussy. And so then I'm bouncing and holding and I'm trying to get stuff done and it's just not possible. And so it's been like, and Cassie's been at work and will be at work all day. So for those of you who are parenting as single parents, I do not know how you do it. I think the biggest, honestly, for me, my respect for people who are parenting by themselves. I already had a lot of respect, and now I understand, even though I don't quite understand. I mean, I cannot imagine, and so a massive amount of respect for people who are parenting solo, because it's a thing. But as far as the podcast and why we are here today, what is it that we are talking about?
Yeah, welcome, Parker. She seems very calmed down right now, which is great. I'm glad. Maybe the podcast is the secret trick, just having her on camera. But we are on our
she
part
does have
2.
A face for TV.
yeah, exactly. We are on part 2 of our summer recap on one of the most eventful Blazers summers in recent memory. Last episode, we discussed all about the departure of veterans Anthony Simons and DeAndre Ayton and a little bit of the Drew Holiday acquisition. This podcast is mainly all about Tom Dundon. Everybody's been doing that, and I wanted to get in there.
Did you know that's why they made the Law and Order noise was after his... No, it wasn't.
Yeah, this guy. Fun fact. But yeah, this is about... besides Damian Lillard coming, this is maybe tied with Damian Lillard coming home. Long-term ramifications, it's probably the biggest news in Blazers history since, they wanted, or like when Paul Allen took over. So it doesn't happen very often, a team changing hands and ownership. So this is a big deal.
It is a big deal. And can I say something really quick about it? Mm-hmm. I just want to validate people who feel understandably that it's an uncertain time. There is no bigger change in a sports franchise than the changing of the ownership. And frankly, nothing is guaranteed. Like there's no guarantee that the GM will stay. There's no guarantee that the coach will stay. There's no guarantee that the team will stay in the city. And not that I think that's a huge threat, but there has been, I think, kind of a poo-pooing of whatever. See, he said he wants to keep it in Portland. And so I don't mean to get into that too quickly prematurely, but just to say, if you are someone who's feeling like, hey, this is potentially a really big deal, you are right. And I think it's completely okay to feel that way.
Oh, I 100% agree. And I'll get into it because I think it's my first takeaway, but like this is the biggest thing, and like whether the coach sucks, whether the GM isn't good, whether the player they can't get players, as long as there is a Blazers team like that, it has the potential for all that to exist. So that's like number one, and the ownership changing is the only thing that can take that away. So and with what happened in Seattle, like that's obviously a fear for like any NBA franchise, especially small market ones. So let's dive into specifics and then discuss that.
And I
more.
want to come back to this too. Do the specifics. I want to come back to this conversation about uncertainty.
So Tom Dundon, news breaks from Sportico. believe it. I didn't realize Sportico was dropping big news like this. They broke the news in August.
Sportico. I am Sportico. I am Sportico. No.
Is that a reference?
Sportico. Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. Yeah. We are all Sportico.
But, I see.
If Sportico is being targeted, then we got to raise up our hand and say, I am Sportico.
I do not know that show. But I will.
Show, it's a movie. You should know this because it was a movie that came out in the 60s, so clearly totally in your era because you were born. As we know, Connor was born in 1957. He looks amazing, by the way. He's got an old soul.
I've got a regimen. So
Can you drop the skincare routine?
I already forget the name of the thing.
Drop the skincare routine.
Oh, CeraVe. CeraVe. It's a big thing.
There we go.
So, Tom Dundon buys the Blazers. Reports break August 13th that he's buying the Blazers for a reported $4.25 billion. He is in an investment group with Blue Owl Capital co-president Mark Czar and Portland-based Sheil Tile, co-CEO of Collective Global. Tile also has a local connection because he reportedly settled in Portland after his wife, I'm going to butcher this name, I'm sorry, Sajal Hathi became the director of Oregon Health Authority in 2024. And Tom Dundon, most famously known in sports circles as the owner of the NHL's Carolina Hurricanes. And then on September 12th, the sale, it got finalized. It became a binding agreement. And not only did that happen, but Panda Express hopped on board, which is pretty awesome for somebody who really likes Panda Express.
That was the part of the news that Connor was super into.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, Andrew Chung and Peggy Chung, who were the co-founders of Panda Express and the Panda Restaurant Group, joined the investing group.
Does this mean Panda Express in the Moda Center? Which, by the way, like, Panda Express is they're not a local, right? Like, I mean, they're a national, international. So, like, and what I mean, they didn't start locally. And so, like, cool if you like Panda Express. Also, the Moda Center has, like, a lot of really good local food options. And so I'm just going to be the wet blanket and say if Panda Express bumps out, like, sizzle pie or something, I'm not going to be ultra happy about that, but whatever. It's fine.
That's fair. Yeah, hopefully, if they're going to bump out anything, let it be like some generic like
concession
food,
stand.
Concession
totally.
stand or
I
whatever.
agree with that.
I do wonder if there's going to be like because now McDonald's is the 100-point giveaway. Will that change to Panda Express? Could you do that? Could you get a little like?
Oh, interesting.
A little like
just give out. I think the ushers should just give out piping hot bowls of lo mein to people as they leave the arena.
Yeah, man, that'd be sweet. So they joined, and now the last step in the process. Reports are that the sale is expected to be formally like finalized, sealed, like done by the end of March is what Tom Dundon's group is hoping for. The last thing that needs to happen is the NBA Board of Governors approves the sale. So that's where we are, Brandon.
Okay, but just on the Board of Governors, I doubt there's any reason that they would not approve the sale. So I think that all of this is probably formalities at this point. Do we want to talk a little bit about just kind of the global uncertainty, that kind of atmospheric fog of the unknown that happens to a fan base when the ownership changes?
Well, yeah, and I think so I wrote down 3 takeaways in my notes for this, and I think this corresponds with my first takeaway. So, I want to jump in. My first takeaway is it seems practically certain that the Blazers are staying in Portland. Practically certain. There's like a slight hedge. It seems certain.
Can we talk about this?
Yeah. So you're less convinced.
Practically what? What do you mean practically certain? No, it's not. Like I'm in a mood, but like it doesn't matter how many pronouncements people make. It doesn't matter how many non-binding statements are released. It doesn't matter how many times a national sports outlet puts it in the headline that the team is staying in Portland. if there's nothing binding, then there's nothing binding. We don't have to, like you said, go any further than the Seattle Supersonics. We also, a more recent example of not quite the same thing, we don't have to go much further than Mark Cuban, the former majority owner of the Mavs, being like, I'm going to be around, everybody. And then he was out of there. By the way, Mark Cuban apparently was asked to join this ownership group that bought the Blazers, and he declined. If it's not binding, it's not binding. And I've heard some people say, well, hey, what happened when Seattle went to Oklahoma City was so untenable for the NBA that they would never let that happen again. How is it untenable? In what way did that hit the NBA's bottom line? It didn't. There's nothing preventing this team from moving if that's what Tom Dundon wants. Now, having said that, he has the NHL team in North Carolina. He is based in Houston. And so at least like right off the top, you're like, well, there's an NBA team in Charlotte. There's an NBA team in Houston. So at least like the two most obvious places that he would want to. This is not like Clay Bennett being like, I'm from Oklahoma City. And
this doesn't look good at all.
Which, to be fair, there's like a lot of really interesting deep dives that went into Seattle moving to Oklahoma City. And Oklahoma City have been angling for an NBA team for years and years and years and years. So I've been talking a lot, but I'll stop there. I just want to say, like, no, it's not practically certain that the team is staying in Portland. There's nothing binding about it. And so for those who are more cautious, I just want to affirm that I think it's totally okay that you are cautious.
Well, and that's partially why I added the practically, because, of course, like you said, there's no binding agreement. Like, once somebody owns something, they can do what they want with it. But I feel way more comfortable about the topic and less nervous after the Tom Dundon purchase and reading into reports. Like, not only, obviously when he bought the team right away, the reports came out that his plans were to keep the team in Portland. But it's not just that. It's like reading reporters that I really like. Like I read like Jason Quick's article about it. He said the Blazers will stay in Portland. Like, I think Mike Richmond did a podcast. Like
what? So like I wasn't in Seattle. I wasn't a Seattle fan when the Sonics were sold. Wasn't a lot of that stuff said? Oh man, like they're getting up on the podium. We love Seattle. We want to keep it in Seattle, everybody. Like there was like a question about the arena, and in Portland there happens to be a question about the arena. Like I mean there are. I don't know, man. Like I don't share the optimism. Yeah. Let me just say that.
I think there is like a healthy amount of fear in just knowing that it's a possibility is good, and I'm not discounting that. So like if somebody's still worried about the Blazers moving, I totally understand that. Just I feel way better about it now than I did before, and the language that reporters are using, like they're not even like trying to hedge too much, like at all. And that makes me more confident.
Fair. I think that's fair. And like there was, even in the public pronouncements when Seattle was sold, there was like an undercurrent of kind of weirdness that does seem to be absent here. Like I don't sense an undercurrent of weirdness with this the same way with Seattle. And so like all this is just to say, Connor, like I'm not saying like, oh, I think the team's going to move. I don't think that. I think it's very unlikely. I think it's exceedingly unlikely that they move out of Portland. And I think it's fair people are concerned about it. I do think that the Moda Center being renovated, torn down and rebuilt, that needs to be resolved. I mean, you have like just geographically where it currently sits, you have the Moda Center, you have Veterans Memorial Coliseum, which was not too long ago designated as a National Historic Registry of Places landmark and has gone through some renovations of its own. You have the Albina Vision Trust, which is a nonprofit that is very well funded by the Blazers and by Nike and by other sources that's trying to help to knit and repair that neighborhood that was destroyed when urban renewal and the construction of I-5 came through where the Moda Center now sits, those historically black neighborhoods that were leveled. And so there's a lot of stuff happening in and around where the Moda Center is. I'm just curious, like, there's been this, like, will the Moda Center, like, there's language being used from Adam Silver that needs to be replaced, right? But then the language from the Portland mayor, from others, is like, it needs to be renovated. Like, do you have an opinion one way or the other about, like, oh, the Moda Center needs to be replaced, the Moda Center needs to be renovated?
Just from what I've read, it's that you don't need to necessarily, like, level the building and put up a whole new one. It just needs extensive renovations all throughout it, which seems like the most feasible thing to do. The one thing that makes me, like, feel better about that situation too, because that is hairy. Like, that's the one you talk about, undercurrent of weirdness. That is the one. That is like the one snag that's like really like, okay, they do need to sort that out. But I was reading that Tom Dundon, when he took over the Hurricanes, another small market sporting franchise, and their arena needed to be replaced. Like, he is part of this huge renovation project for the arena for the Hurricanes and the surrounding area, and they're making it into an entertainment district over, I forget the exact timeline, but like, he is part of an investment already to do that for the Hurricanes, which makes me feel better that he's actually serious about doing that in Portland.
It's a good point. That's a really good point, right? Like, and I do, without getting into too many of the specifics that I don't have off the top of my head, but my understanding is that the city of Portland did own the Moda Center, or wait a minute, I have that backwards. That the Blazers, somebody owned the Moda Center and sold it to the other for $1. It was either the Blazers to the city of Portland or the city of Portland to the Blazers. Why don't I know this? This is really bad.
I think it was to the city of Portland. I think they sold it to the city of Portland.
That's fair. And so obviously there's going to be an expectation of like significant public investment into this expensive arena renovation. Obviously there are all sorts of conversations we could have about capitalism and private public partnerships, and like, should taxpayers bear the burden of constructing an asset that is privately owned, and that's like, it would be different if the profits from the Blazers was somehow like cooperatively owned among season ticket holders or something. I'm just making stuff up, but like, and Portland, that was one of the things that sunk the Seattle's ability to renovate or rebuild then Key Arena, now Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, was that people were like, hey, we don't want to invest public dollars into a privately owned asset. We don't think that. So, and whatever you feel about that, here's what I can guarantee, Connor. When the Moda Center gets renovated, and that's what I think is going to happen, there will be public investment. It's just a matter of how much. And those conversations and negotiations are going to happen over the next couple of years. But I think it needs to happen relatively quickly. Do you know how much they sign like a bridge lease extension that lasts like a handful more years? When does that expire? Do you know
it lasts till 2030.
So it's not that. That's not. Parker says that's not that much time. I'm still going to be a little kid at that time. I'm like, that's true, Parker. Good point. Because usually
she will be sentient, though.
Yes. I hope she's sentient now. But yes,
yeah, that's not what sentient means. Anyway, actually, go ahead. Conscious.
Spoiler alert. Our child is actually an AI robot, and that's the most amazing part about all this.
Able to understand what's going on.
But like, NBA teams and cities usually have lease agreements of like, I think you want to see 20 to 30 years is usually what you want to see. So obviously the 5 years was just to get them to limp along to a new ownership group. We now know who that ownership group is. All of this is just to say, like, while I share some of your relief, learning more details about Tom Dundon, I don't want to dismiss outright that people may still be concerned about the team potentially leaving, because I don't think that it's set in stone, even if I think that is unlikely.
Yeah, and that the 2030, and I just looked it up, it is 2030 when that expires. That is kind of like a scary deadline to look ahead to. It's like, obviously the team changing hands is like the first obstacle, and then that 2030, they'll need to have something worked out, I would imagine, before then.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think
that's like 4 seasons. It's like 4
I'm
seasons.
interested to see between now and you said the sale will be finalized in next year in April, in March.
Yeah.
How much Tom Dundon and his ownership group speaks about the arena before that, because certainly it's going to come up a lot after that switch happens. Yeah.
Well, and I just found it funny too. Before we move on to my next takeaway, is that that Willamette Weekly article came out. I don't know if you wanted to discuss some of that. That it was pretty attention grabbing, putting Damian Lillard in a Supersonics jersey, and it was, forget exactly what the headline was, but it was like, we need to be.
It could happen here, or something like that.
It could happen here. Like the Blazers could move.
Which I appreciated that little bit of clickbait. Good job.
I thought it was
good.
Some people were mad about that article as like fear mongering. I don't know. Like I thought it was valid a little bit. Like the Photoshop jersey maybe was like a little much, but sometimes when you get something like I respect a little bit of I don't even want to call it clickbait, but just like that's some good journalism right there in my mind. I
liked it. I thought it was completely in bounds, and again, I think it's something people should give a thought to.
Yeah, I did find it funny though that newspaper came out, and I was kind of like, oh my God, we're going to be going through an entire year of all this just fear and like hearing about this. And then Tom Dundon bought the team, I swear, like a week or two later. Like it wasn't that far after. And it seems like it calmed all of that down. And of course there's going to be, as we just talked about, like there's still fear and it's nothing certain, but it seems like things are not as just scary as they seemed around the time that paper came out.
That's fair. There is one thing about Tom Dundon that gives me a little bit of pause. We will now set aside the biggest, scariest, hairiest, thorniest parts about this, which again are the team leaving. His ownership style. Okay, so. I'll do the thing where I kind of pose the question to you. In your extensive research about this man, you've pulled public records requests. Just kidding, you have not. In your research, you've been to his house. No, in your research, if you've been digging through the garbage, in your research of Tom Dundon, what have you learned about the way he approaches team ownership, and how does that resonate with you, or do you have an opinion about it? So I have some thoughts, but I want to ask you first as I continue to try my best to make Parker feel like everything is okay. She's not hungry. She doesn't need a diaper. It's just all so complicated. It's all so complicated.
She's looking good. She's being quiet.
She's awesome. She's doing great. I mean, she's being a baby. I will say this.
She's being
Parker,
a baby.
You are acting like a baby, which fair. But yeah, what have you learned about his approach to owning a team, and do you have a take about that?
Yeah, this is kind of like in a job interview, and he's like, my greatest strength, I care too much. My greatest weakness, I care too much. It feels a little bit like that. And honestly,
I care too much. I work too hard.
He seems like from all the little articles I've been reading, cares about winning, will spend money to win. The Carolina Hurricanes, before he took them over, they hadn't made the playoffs in 8 seasons. Now they've made it 7 seasons in a row, including 3 Eastern Conference finals trips. So like, this is a guy. That stuff is amazing. I love that, and there's that article that was like, he said like, why shouldn't we have Luka Doncic? Like that's his mindset. Like he's ready to like go out and like get big players, and that is to
be fair. That comment came from a
source,
and a not right. So like we're not
wasn't
attributing that to him at all.
No, good.
Someone said that about him, and that someone wasn't even on the record. So whatever.
So, but reading those tea leaves, I'm like, that's great, and I am of the mind like. it's better to have somebody who might get you into trouble for how much they're meddling than somebody who just doesn't care and isn't willing to spend money. That's where I land. That's where I land.
Now, wait a minute. I was about to say an owner that's engaged, an owner that is looped in, an owner that's present. Connor, what's another term or word we might use to describe such qualities of ownership?
Meddlesome.
Is meddlesome? Does the term micromanage come up for you at all? That's my, we've seen what having a very engaged owner looks like. Paul Allen, for better and worse. We've seen what a very detached owner looks like. Jody Allen, for better, for worse. Although Bert Cold being a Vulcan, being the tie that binds those two, whatever. Mm-hmm. I am a little wary of an owner who is very engaged and very looped in. I think that people who have a lot of money tend to overestimate their ability to do things that have nothing to do with the thing that they're actually good at, but because they made a lot of money, they now think I'm special and I'm really good at this other thing. And running a sports team is a business, and in some important ways, it's not. And I think if it were me, I would like to see an owner who is appropriately engaged, but that also is like appropriately delegating, hiring people who know what to do, stepping back and letting them do it. It does seem, and I'll stop after this, that Tom Dundon maybe falls further on the scale of like more directly involved than perhaps I would ideally like to see. Again, it's a light criticism. I'm not trying to slam the guy. That's my early read.
And I think it's a fair one because I was just pulling up. In a poll of NHL agents published in The Athletic this year, Dundon was voted the worst owner in the league.
Oh, no.
Agents, not players or fellow owners, said Dundon, quote, micromanages everything, end quote. His communication and management style was described as, quote, overly involved, end quote, and agents raised concerns that his approach affects team culture. Now, but that is agents, which...
Well...
Are we going to trust agents? No,
doesn't a small market team like Portland need to have a good relationship with agents because we're not really...
So, no, I bring up that poll.
I hadn't heard that. I hadn't even seen that, Connor. I had, for my opinion, divorced from what you just shared that now makes me feel even worse about it.
Well, and yeah, I brought that up because it shows that there is evidence to what you're saying. But then,
I don't want to be right sometimes.
No,
but that's okay. Like, whatever.
It's one
to
poll.
your point. Like, can I just? Sorry.
Oh,
you, me?
No, you go. You, me, him.
Me, you, him, him, me. That what you said about, hey, it's agents. Like, also, yes, like you want the team to be the counterbalance to the power of the agent, right? Like you want the team, for example, Joe Cronin getting a lot of flack from, the Barry Jacksons of the world for Joe Cronin, you didn't listen to Damian Lillard. Like, well, Joe Cronin got a much better deal trading Damian Lillard to the Bucks than he would have gotten by trading him to Pat Riley. And so, and look, and now Damian Lillard is back at Portland. And so having the counterbalance of, the owner representing the team, the agent representing the player, you need a healthy tension between those two. I also don't think it's great that he was voted by agents as the worst and very meddlesome. Like, that's concerning. Yeah, that was my comment.
Yeah, and there's other articles too that like point to like him being involved, but like the people who work with him like liking him though, even though he is involved. So like it's not like that is a very inflammatory poll, but there is other stuff that points to like him actually like establishing a good culture. And
so are you going to ask him that question in his introductory press conference?
That's a great question about if I'm going to ask him a question. Maybe. I don't know.
Because I'd be interested if I were him. My response would be like, yeah, that's the reputation that I want because I look out for my team. Done. Like that's it. There's an easy answer to that, which you already brought up. But I'd just be interested to hear him.
For
what
sure.
his response would be.
Yeah, my goal this year is to ask more, just like more nuanced and like heavy hitting questions. Not like hard, it's not. I don't even think that's.
I think that's a fair. That's a fair question, right?
To ask.
Like, yeah,
so,
totally.
But,
let him
but
respond to it. And
more questions straight up that are just to get to the heart of I think more important issues or just topics. So and that would fall in that category. My big thing that I think I've taken away is I would rather have that. That poll, I think, is way less important to me than the fact that the Hurricanes have had such a track record of winning since he took over. Like I would much rather have that poll and have the winning versus have a poll that say he's the best owner and the Hurricanes have sucked for the last 8 years.
I'm assuming that since his ownership that he has handpicked their general manager, right? What I'm saying is I'm assuming that decisions he has made that you could draw a line between those decisions and the winning, right? And that so I'm assuming that. So yes, that is good because of course, as a fan especially, you care about winning. And so I mean, I guess the team wants to generate money and that's great, but it's a lot easier to make more money if you're winning. And so, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah. So cool. Good. I mean, engaged, maybe a little micromanaging. Agents maybe don't like him so much, but maybe that's because he sticks up for his team and people who work with him say that they like working with him. So that's good. He said all the right things about so far, at least through his channels, about staying in Portland. And that's good. So yeah, I mean, I will say just zooming out that my overall, if you were to say, hey, the Blazers are getting a new owner, yeah, I actually do feel generally pretty positive about this specific owner for all the reasons that we've talked about.
Yeah, he
which
checks
is nice.
A lot of boxes.
Yeah, it's not an immediate right? There's a lot here that you can feel good about, which is cool.
It's kind of like you're reading it and you're like, oh, okay, good.
Right. I don't even mean to get political about this, but I'm just saying, let's say that, the winning bidder for the Blazers was Elon Musk. There would be virtually nothing redeeming about that for me.
Or Jeff Bezos, which
sure,
he had been kind of floated out as a possible option, right, wanting to get a team.
So I could think of that. I'm just saying, yes, you could have the person be announced, you could read into them and learn about them, and your takeaway could be ultra negative. That is not the case here, and I do think that that's good. I feel good about that. That's great. Mm-hmm. So, and not bad.
I want to get to one more point too. This is what I think is important. Is since Paul Allen passed away, the franchise has been sort of in limbo, or not sort of. It has been in limbo, and there was this constant undercurrent of: is the team making decisions right now because it's in their best interest to win, or are they doing it because a sale is looming? And are they taking the safe route because a sale is looming? Turning Joe Cronin from an interim into the full general manager, which I enjoyed the work that Joe Cronin has done, but people have said, why didn't they do a full outgoing search? Was that because it was the easiest for Jody Allen to just hire within house? This last season, extending Chauncey Billups, I think he did some great stuff with the defense this year, and the team showed improvement. But there was a possible thought of did they just extend him because they knew that the sale was going to be next year? So why hire a new coach? So all of that possible theories about decisions is going to be gone with a new owner, and that is something I look forward to.
True, and. What it may be replaced by, Connor, is, oh no, the new owner wants to, quote, put his stamp, end quote.
Yes.
Right.
It could end up being something worse, which is also scary.
Or could be even at the time neutral, change for the sake of change that could end up being good or could end up being bad, but maybe is not the most strategic, right? I think whenever a team says, hey, we're going to be selling, I think what you just described is a fair point. It's like everything you look at from that moment on until they're sold is through the lens of, are they just doing it to, limp along to the sale? But then I think you also had this period of like, oh, is what's happening just so that the owner can feel good about putting, quote, their stamp on the team. And at some point, this will settle out. You have in here, and I'll just, I'll take the transition myself about like, what, if anything, does this mean for the upcoming season, right? Like we've been talking about kind of big stuff and about his style and what it means for the city, what it means but what, if anything, does this mean for the upcoming 2025-26 season?
Yeah, something I'm curious about is Joe Cronin and like Chauncey Billups, are they going to be making decisions this year with Tom Dundon's blessings? Like at the trade deadline, if he's going to get this deal done in March, is the reported timeline. That's a month away from the trade deadline. Are they going to be checking in with him about like I don't even know. Are you allowed to do that in like, is there some like tampering rule? Like, so
doubt it. Like I would imagine that, like, I mean, at this point he's a private citizen. Like you're allowed to talk to whoever you want to talk to, right? Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
So I just wonder, if it's going to impact the decision making right away? He's going to be in their ear.
Can I just say that, like, of course, like it would be weird if it weren't, like, and so I think that is interesting to consider. But to me the answer is yes, comma, how much, right? How much is his thinking going to influence what happens in the short term? And that I don't know, but I think for it not to at all, I think would actually be strange. So I'm assuming that it will sense. To some extent.
Yeah, like he's about to be the boss. So I wonder if we're gonna see some like splashy moves at the deadline because of that, or it'll just be curious. And will Joe Cronin be making moves as like another audition, basically, to like try to show that he should be kept around after this year? That's the other thing, is will this mean that will Tom Dundon clean house and handpick all of his guys after this season?
Interesting. I don't think we have time to actually get into this now, because maybe like evaluating Joe Cronin could be a whole nother episode. But like my short answer is I hope not, because I think Joe Cronin has done a very effective job. I have like minor quibbles, but like I think he's done great. So and you could say that maybe my head is so far up the crone zone that I'm not thinking clearly, but like I think he's done a very effective job.
He paid off the pod, man. It's
yeah, totally. This episode sponsored by Joseph Cronin Estates. No, I don't know. So yeah, we'll see. I think it's interesting to consider how much the new ownership influences decisions in the short term. I had one quick interjection about splashy moves. So we did get the unfortunate news, was it yesterday, that the Rockets' Fred VanVleet has suffered an ACL tear and is likely going to be out for the entirety of this upcoming season. The Rockets, who, if you remember, recently acquired one Kevin Durant, speaking of the Seattle Supersonics. And my question is, does that make the Rockets an interesting Drew Holiday destination? Like, I know that we just spent all this time talking about how it'd be totally fine and great for Holiday to stay on the team, but ... I mean, they kind of need a point guard, and they kind of want to win. Like,
it's the exact destination, like that, like for a team, that could use Holiday. And that's, sometimes people would say like, oh, like, wait for injuries and to shape the market. And sometimes I was like, that's such like BS. You don't even know if that's going to happen. But here is a prime example. And they have a lot of young players, so like it would make a theoretical
I'm just
deal
asking the question,
sense.
Connor. I'm just asking the question.
And they've pushed, like they're pushing their chips in. Like they just did it with Kevin Durant. So yeah, that's definitely it's an interesting
more on
thought.
That. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. All right, what's happening in the very short term?
Looking ahead. We're like there. The dog days of the NBA offseason are over. Trailblazers Media Day next Monday. I will be on the scene back for another year on the ground with Blazers Edge. That week, right after media dates, training camp, Fan Fest is that next Saturday. Like preseason games start basically right after that. So we are gearing up for another season, and I'm pretty excited. It feels like the summer was really long, and then all of a sudden the season came really fast. So
yeah,
get ready, everybody.
I agree. Yeah, it's interesting, and we, are moving back home to Portland next month. Excited for that. Excited to get to see you in person more often, and excited to get to go to games. Not excited about the logistics of moving, I will tell you that much, but it'll be nice to be back in the Pacific time zone. Yeah, and we will be back next week. We're excited to get more on a regular rhythm. I applaud both of us for you pivoted with me this time. I said, hey, could we do it Tuesday? We did it Tuesday. Turns out Parker just wanted to be a part of the episode, which is fantastic. And if you want to be a part, yes. And if you want to be a part of the episode, you can always do that at WeLikeTheBlazers.com. Probably actually the best way to get in touch with either one of us is to either comment on our stuff at Blazers Edge, or hey, post to the feed. A quick plug that the Blazers Edge site, all SB Nation sites, in fact, underwent a refresh. And part of what I liked Blazers Edge for way back in the day, Connor, before you were even a twinkle in your father's eye, was that you had user-submitted stuff that used to be more visible on the front page. Well, that is back. There's something called The Feed, which I can post to as staff, but that anybody listening can post to, and it gets it more visible on the front page. So we would love for you to submit your own stuff to Blazers Edge via the feed, please. But get in touch with us there. You can find us on Blue Sky, Brandon Mullen, Connor Bergen. Find We Like the Blazers on any podcatcher. There is a rebrand, a refresh coming. We're partially there. We have finalized the logo. Your mind is going to be blown.
Big updates.
This logo is going to be so good. You're going to look at the logo. You're going to cry. Unbelievable stuff. We're excited to talk again next week. But until then, I'm Brander. That's Connor. Thank you all, and go Blazers.